Hi, my name is Shreyasee and today I will be reviewing the book The Psychology of Money, Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed and Happiness. So let's get right into it. First of all, I want to tell you guys what this book is not about. This book is not about, how to invest in stocks, how to understand the share market, which businesses to, if you want to set up a business, what to think about. No, what this book really talks about is the mindset that and the behaviors that influence your personal finance, and through different countless anecdotes and lessons, in 20 precise and crisp chapters, it tells you about the different aspects of what the author calls the psychology of money. The underlying premise of the book is that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are, or how much knowledge or technical expertise you have, but how well you behave. So the major takeaways from this book would be learning from other people's mistakes and successes, money, how people behave with it, and how they can create and save wealth. So, the first chapter is luck and risk. It's easy to convince yourself that your decision is the best and it's very well informed, so there is no scope of failure at all. But only when you realize that there is also the role of luck in success and there is also the role of risk. That means that, we should leave room for ourselves. We should leave rooms for failures, and sort of be kinder to ourselves in that sense. But to mitigate the risk of overweighting the role of individual effort, we should be cautious about, first of all, the people that we are admiring and the people that we are judging. And while, because those at the top may have been benefactors of luck and those at the bottom may have been the victims of risk, and focus less on individuals and try to figure out broader patterns, because it's difficult to replicate the outcomes of successful individuals. However, if we figure out, and if you're able to understand in the broader patterns, then perhaps we would be better with investing. Lessons from Buffet. So he quotes that 84.2 billion of Warren Buffett's net worth, that was 84.5 billion while he was writing the book, was accumulated after he was 50, and 81.5 billion came after he qualified for social security in his mid 60s. So compounding is deceptively powerful. It's easy to think of high yielding, high reward, and high risk investments, but there is a treasure in consistency and investing little by little on a longer term basis. So from what I understand, keeping money is the skill that requires you to be humble and to mitigate risk and to avoid getting greedy in the fear that whatever you have right now can be taken away from you at any moment. Now, this is where the case of a billionaire and a gas station janitor comes in. And Housel mentions that when he was working as a valet in a hotel, there was a billionaire who used to throw cash around, and eventually he lost all of his money and went into deep debt due to the huge financial crisis that hit, and it got to him. And then there was this janitor who was just consistently investing little by little in blue chip stocks, and by the end of his life, in his will, he he ended up to be an individual of a very high net worth, and which most of his wealth he donated to charity. Talking about long tails, the investment decisions that you are making on 99% of days do not matter, and it's the decisions that you make on a smaller number of days when something big is happening in the market. So getting money versus keeping money. Not everybody who is rich may be wealthy, but every wealthy person is definitely rich in their own mindset. So Morgan talks about how getting money requires, being willing to take risks and being optimistic and putting yourself out there. But keeping that money requires completely opposite skills. So it means that you have to believe in being frugal. You have to believe in frugality, and there's also a paranoia factor where there's fear that what you have made can be easily taken away just as fast. So, but the definition of success cannot be relied on. Being rich offers you opportunities to do in the short term, but being wealthy provides you the flexibility and the time to get more of the things that you want in life, like freedom, time, or possessions in the future. When we look back at the past, we create stories about why certain things happened, and those stories make us think that the world is understandable and makes sense in some way. But the truth is, nothing is certain. And the problem is that these stories may be complete nonsense. What happened may have been completely random, and yet our stories or our hindsight may trick us into thinking that okay, maybe there is some lesson we can learn to better protect the future. So avoiding the illusion that we have full control in this uncertain world we live is a really important practice. So, reading out a statement from the book, from the chapter The Price of Investing, um, Housel says, like everything else is worthwhile, successful investing demands a price, but its currency is not dollars and cents. It's volatility, fear, doubt, uncertainty, regret, all of which are easy to overlook until you're dealing with them in real life. So, if you choose to invest and try to compile your wealth, there is always a price, and that price is often hidden in the form of, let's say, your time, the risk factor in the market, and the conditions, your personal conditions, and you have to be willing to pay that price if you want to invest, especially if you are very active with your strategy. And the only way to deal with the market fee is and the conditions and the situations is that to accept that it exists and to be willing to pay the price. But how much of the price do you need to pay is something that you need to focus on, and you need to be prepared to deal with this uncertainty, and it's all a part of the game that you're playing. Which brings me to the next the next point. What game are you playing? If you have a friend who's making lots of money on, let's say, crypto and very short term options, and you're starting getting FOMO and you want to play that game too, you'll really need to consider if it aligns with your vision and your goals. If you have a part-time job and you're really saving up for college, do you think this is really the greatest option to go? I'm not trying to sway the direction, but it's still worth considering of what your goals are going to be in the long term. And if you have a bigger time horizon. It's the simple nature of passive investing it, and it would be stupid for you to start playing your friend's game. You might be able to get a profit, but at what cost? So know the game that you are playing, and know the game the others around you are playing, as they tell you about their latest tactics. So finally, coming to the major insights from the book. Number one, there are plenty of ways to get wealthy, but only a few ways to stay wealthy. Second, tail events drive the majority of outcomes. Third would be, that wealth gives you control over your time, and it gives you the freedom to wake up in the morning and do whatever you want. And history comprises of surprising events, things which have never happened before happen all the time. So nothing in life and investing is uh, certain and there is always a price, but it isn't always obvious. So just we need to decide if it's worth paying the price, before we make a decision in our life. And I think this is probably the only investing and psychology book that I have read, but I think it's really worth a read. And it's, keeping up with the times. Morgan Housel has done a very nice job in making the book very crisp and precise. And I think it was very, very easy for me to follow the book. Generally, I do not read books on personal finance or investing or business decision making. But this book was a really interesting read, and I would definitely recommend it to all the viewers. Good day and have a nice time.